Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have our loser bracket semifinals between Duskbin on the Radiant, WE on the Dire. This will be a best out of 3 again. We only have 4 teams remaining now. The other 2 teams who remain are Aeon and Tongfu, who still have to play their winner bracket finals. That match should be happening directly after this one. The winner of that the loser of that match will play the winner of this match. And then the winner of that match will advance to the grand finals tomorrow against whoever wins between Aeon and Tongfu. So, if that doesn't make sense, it will as we progress through the day. But in terms of this matchup, well, what is there to say about Duskbin? They looked a little shaky yesterday. They got 2-0'd pretty quickly. Really looked out of their element. And the question is, how are they going to feel matching up against WE again today? Are they going to be a little bit more stable, a little bit more confident? WE looked like they had all the answers. And frankly, if you're playing WE, you really got to ban out those early pushing heroes. Heroes like Syllabear, Panda, Prophet. Heroes that are either great at pushing in their own right or who can get you that good push by setting up early kills, setting up that early aggression. Darkseer, Lycan, Windrunner, Invoker, these are the first bans we're seeing. I'm not seeing a Prophet ban. The first pick is going Duskbin's way, and if you're ninjaboogie, you might have been gunning for that Invoker, but WE, they've done their research. They know just how powerful ninjaboogie can be on that Invoker. He single-handedly put his team on his back yesterday. They were on the verge of elimination up against Ice, and he carried them back. They dropped down to a quick 0-1 deficit in that best out of 3. And Game 2, they looked very shaky at times, but it was ultimately ninjaboogie who really, he shouldered the load. And the question is, can he keep on doing it? It's not an easy thing to do to carry your team game after game. And frankly, Invoker is one of the few heroes that has that potential. Prophet gets the final ban. I really like this ban from Duskbin. I mean, Prophet, it's never an unusual ban, but when WE had the Prophet in their hands yesterday, they were just unstoppable. They got so many early towers, so strong offensively. And so, with that Prophet being banned out, what do we have left in the pool? Queen of Pain gets the final ban. That is a hero Duskbin has been known to play. This still leaves Morphling, Anti-Mage. If ninjaboogie wants to go for that hard carry option, Duskbin has certainly run it before. But with WE, it seems like they're favoring a timing push. In the series they won 2-0 yesterday, around the 20-25 minute mark, they just start pushing down your racks. They went for heroes like Pugna. I'm trying to think who else. I mentioned the Prophet. They had a Venomancer support, I believe. A lot of pushing heroes. And
5 seconds remaining.
I think for Duskbin, the key is either going to be to take those pushing heroes away by drafting them yourselves, or to pick up a lot of strong anti-push heroes that can punish over-aggression. Queen of Pain is one of them, but she's gone. Duskbin really taking their time here with this first pick. Well, if you want to go for push, this is not a hero I've seen Duskbin run too often, but hey, Shadow Shaman is great for that. He is a little bit squishy. Actually, the Chen and Enchantress are both in the pool at the moment. And normally those heroes have been getting banned, so the reason they're slipping through is that WE is giving some respect bans towards Duskbin, particularly with that Invoker, and to a lesser extent with the Queen of Pain, although she's seen bans regardless. So, if you're Duskbin here, you can leave one of them in the pool and then pick up the other. WE is probably not going to take an Enchantress and a Chen. That would be a bit unusual as far as strategy goes. I think Dara ran that strategy once, but it's very unorthodox. So still, Chen is in the pool, Enchantress is in the pool. I'd be a little surprised not to see WE take at least one of them here. It really fits into their playstyle. Early and calculated aggression. Now, they're not going to go for crazy numbers of ganks, but they'll try to get a gank or two and turn that into a push. Oh, another hero WE was running was that Enigma. And Enigma, a fantastic pushing hero. Great jungling hero. If they go for that Enigma Chen opening, that's going to be a very potent combination. You can run Enigma in a lane, so for those who might be thinking, well, isn't Enigma a jungler? Yes, he can be a jungler, but he doesn't have to be. I would like to see that opening from WE. I think it fits their playstyle perfectly. And I think Duskbin has shown that's where they struggle is against those early pushes. It's really not a strong suit of theirs. Now with the Sand King pick, I'm hoping this will be a farming Sand King. They're going to go for the hard carry Morphling. So this pick, it's not only about getting a Morphling for yourself, it's also about denying that Morphling to Duskbin. Ninjaboogie plays a fantastic one, and Arjun, who is that secondary carry player, sometimes play the 1 position, sometimes the 2. Either way, he's one of their core farmers, also known for a fantastic Morphling. So they grab themselves a Chen, and that's not a surprise, but it does leave Enchantress in the pool. Will Duskbin opt for it? They do immediately counter-picking So we're going to see Enchantress versus Chen. Yes, I am very excited about this. Jungle Wars will be the name of the game today. I hope these two heroes end up in the same jungle, because then you get to see crazy antics between the two, like Enchantress stealing one of Chen's creeps, one of his centaurs, and stomping him with it. Of course, if you're these heroes, it's not just about getting the right creeps, it's about having your creep domination spell on cooldown whenever you run into the opposing jungler. So if they steal your creep, you can take it right back. So quick fingers will be very important in this situation. A few seconds delay can spell the difference between an extra stun, a net, a slow, that can mean your death, or a turnaround. Enigma is still available. Leshrac is going to be the pick, so we'll probably see a Leshrac Sand King combination here. You can dual lane these two in the safe lane. Now, if these are the two supports for Duskbin, well, actually, excuse me, they're not going to be the two supports because they have the Enchantress. So she may be. I'm not sure if Leshrac will be a hard support, if Sand King will be a hard support, but either way, at least one of these two will get farm, and I love that choice. It's so important for Leshrac and Sand King to get levels and farm, and when you throw in an Enchantress, you're gonna give a little bit of extra experience towards these supports, and it's gonna be a Brewmaster as the reply. This is a classic, iconic Chinese pickup, and just a really strong team fighter in general. Great hero to have against squishy heroes like Enchantress and Leshrac, especially if Panda can pop off that ultimate. Everyone on Duskbin will have to run. Nobody can stand against those pandas. They don't have any right-click damage at this stage of the game, nor are they picking towards it. So Duskbin opts not to go for the hard carry here. They're going to ban out the Beastmaster. They've definitely been doing the research. This is another hero, fitting into that push style that WE really loves, that early to mid-game aggression. Beastmaster's so strong for that. Very flexible lane here. Doesn't need a lot of levels, but benefits from them. So I love this pick. And I just remembered I forgot to actually check the pings and turn on my in-game sound. So sorry to anyone in-game, but I am here now. It will be an anti-mage ban, and this is no surprise. If you pick Morphling, and you're playing against Duskbin, that you deny them the Morphling by picking it up. Now you deny them the anti-mage by banning it out. So that's two of the hard carries that Duskbin really love to play, and they're not going to get either of them.
10 seconds remaining.
If you're Duskbin, who do you go for? They have been seen earlier this tournament. In fact, when they matched up against WE, they ran a Faceless Void. Of course, that Faceless Void was paired up with Ninjaboogie's Invoker. And in that series, oh, it's going to be a Faceless Void ban. Duskbin really they're going to have to get creative here. I think a Riki would be the solution. I'm not sure if Duskbin has run that hero, but I think Riki would work out so well. The silence is really strong against Morphling and Panda. And of course the Diffusal Blade. Panda's a very low base mana pool. You can easily burst him down or prevent him from having the mana to get off that ult. I think Riki is the answer here. I know I've seen Duskbin play that hero in Heroes of Newerth back when they were a Heroes of Newerth team. And it is an identical hero. There's no differences between them. But I'm not sure if they've played it in Dota 2.
Reserve time.
Another hero that's quite strong against Morphling is Obsidian Destroyer. He also gives you a fantastic laning phase, but versus a Brewmaster, I'm not sure he's the hero you want to go with, because Obsidian is not very mobile and can definitely be chain stun, lockdown. He is quite easy to gank, and against the Chen, it is going to be an OD. Oh, right, I like the way Duskbin are picking. Another hero that is still available is that Shadow Demon. And if you have Morphling on your team, you probably don't want to give a Shadow Demon away, but God, Obsidian Destroyer, Outworld Destroyer in Dota 2, I suppose that is the proper name. We have not seen much of this guy. But he is a very strong late game carry. One of the hardest carries in the game, up there with heroes like Morphling, Faceless Void, Anti-Mage. One of the absolute hardest carries. Now, he is pretty much completely countered by BKB. All of his damage can be blocked by BKB, or the vast majority of it. His Arcane Orb, which is pure damage, which hits really hard. You can't cast that on heroes that are magic immune. Same for his ultimate. It will not actually damage heroes that are magic immune. So if you're playing against OD, at some point in this game, you're going to want to get a BKB, if you're the Morphling. Maybe if you're the Brewmaster, although Brewmaster is not as worried. But another reason this OD pick is actually very strong is if you look at Brewmaster, his base mana pool, his intelligence is very low. And so if OD ever hits Brewmaster with the ultimate, Brewmaster is going to have no mana. He won't be able to...
Here.
Oh, no, actually, no, that's not correct, because he will just take a lot of damage. He won't lose his mana. But even a simple Astral Imprisonment can take away enough mana from the Brewmaster so that he won't be able to cast that ultimate. It's also great if Panda blinks in, you can immediately disrupt him, and a Night Stalker to follow.
Dire team pick.
Duskbin, definitely a hero they've been known to play before. Night Stalker, a very strong offensive hero. I'm curious, who is ninjaboogie going to play? He's played OD in the past. I wouldn't be surprised to see him on it again. I also would not be too surprised if he's on that Night Stalker. But most likely it will be Arjun filling that role as sort of the semi-carry, the ganker. These two swap back and forth, like I said. Earthshaker was the pick for WE, a very strong defensive hero. Great hero to have against a hero like Night Stalker, who loves to tower dive. A Fissure can really turn around a gank. If Night Stalker's deep in your territory, about to get that last right click, Fissure comes in, Panda maybe drops a clap, Chen creeps do some work, waveform, you can easily turn around an engagement where a hero is just about to die and turn it into a kill. The question for WE is, who is the last hero going to be? They need another solo, and it's going to be Bounty Hunter for that final solo. I have to say, Duskbin is a much stronger laning phase. All in all, Bounty Hunter will probably, almost certainly will be in that off lane, just getting some experience and levels. Bounty Hunter can catch up in the mid game with track bonus gold. Can also get the Morphling really big, so for Duskbin, they have to be very careful not to give up too many kills with track gold, and for WE, that's really going to be the goal as the mid game hits. Expect to see Morphling on the safe lane with Earthshaker in support, Panda solo mid, and then a Chen in the jungle. Probably a defensive jungle. As for... if I said that was for Duskbin, I meant for WE. As for Duskbin, how are they going to lane it? Well, they have a little more flexibility, but most likely I want to say it's going to be the Obsidian Destroyer. They could tri-lane this OD, send Night Stalker... yeah, what are they going to do? They may have to do an offensive dual lane, maybe the Sand King Leshrac laning together. I think maybe we'll see a Sand King Leshrac up top with an offensive jungle Enchantress, a Night Stalker mid, and then an OD on the bottom lane. Or you could flip the Night Stalker in the OD. But if you look at Duskbin right now, they don't have a really great off-lane hero. So I don't think they can run anyone here solo. You have to get OD farm, so putting him in the off-lane is not really an option. If you put just a Leshrac or Sand King there, they will feed. They could try and match up the Sand King 1v1. Maybe do a Leshrac OD dual lane. It's going to be a little bit awkward for both teams with these lanes. WE, it's obvious how they're going to lane it, but they're not the strongest lanes, especially that off-lane Bounty Hunter. He's not going to get much last hits, most likely. He's probably going to be harassed quite a bit. He's unlikely to die, and this is a trade-off WE is willing to make, because like I said, you can catch up in the mid-game with that track gold. It's going to be a completed Wraithband to start, and I'm guessing they're going to pull some tangos for him. Indeed, it looks like Chen has already dropped them. So let's go ahead and introduce the players here. Fanti on that Morphling, he has been pulled a bunch of regen. Chan playing that Panda. Earthshaker as well, with some wards picked up, all of them headed top. Lao on that Chen, with a smoke to start. And it is going to be the offlane Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter versus OD. This is a lane that could go either way. Generally, OD should dominate this lane, but Bounty Hunter has a very strong ability to harass, especially a squishy hero like OD, because you can windwalk up to an enemy hero, and once you get, say, level 2 or 3, that Janata is going to do so much damage. If you get Sentry Wards, though, the lane's over for Bounty Hunter. He's not going to have any kind of luck getting farm. But again, they're okay with that. For Duskbin, everyone headed up top. Sentry Wards and Observer Wards picked up immediately right off the bat. Maybe those are going to be used to try and send some ganks on the Bounty Hunter, maybe to deward any camps. Arjun on that Leshrac. There will be a farming Leshrac and a support Sand King. And I like this choice. I think Leshrac needs farm this game. If you look at WE's lineup, Leshrac is such a squishy, immobile hero that if you don't get the early gold, the early items up, the early levels up, you're just going to feed. Bounty Hunter, Earthshaker, Morphling, Panda. It's enough burst damage to bring him down. Night Stalker. Not sure who's going mid here, to be honest. Nobody has gone for a bottle rush, so they're not really telegraphing that. Night Stalker does have 100 gold in the bank. I'm thinking the Night Stalker will go mid, and then we're going to see Night Stalker versus Panda in that middle lane. Although, as I say that, there's a Stout Shield picked up. Yeah, these lanes are just awkward for both teams. I mean, it's not clear who's going where. Well, I can tell you one thing. Chen and Enchantress, they'll be in the jungle. We might see an early engagement here. Both teams sort of sizing each other up, and in the end, they opt to back off.
30 seconds to battle.
All of this maneuvering for position, it's all about trying to get this pole camp warded off. Yes, you have a Chen and Enchantress, both of whom want to take creeps, but they're more interested in taking these creeps. as well as these, and of course, this camp here, and this camp here. It's all about the big creeps early on. Lei is going to meander down on towards the bottom jungle. Nice defensive ward placed here by Icy. That's going to protect whoever they send mid. Is it going to be a solo mid Morphling?
The battle begins.
It may be. Morphling can definitely handle mid, especially 1v1 against Night Stalker.
Invisibility.
Still, most of the time when you send a hero mid, you want it to be a hero that can, be active around the map and be a bit of a ganker. And I'm not sure if Morphling is best suited for that. He has the potential to do it, but generally you like to see him getting more farm. So will this be more of a roaming, ganking style Morphling? More of a semi-carry, or are they going to continue to play him as a hard carry, even though they've sent him mid? If they do that, I'm curious, is W going to change their lanes as well? Because Night Stalker going bottom can easily handle the Bounty Hunter, and OD can dominate a Morphling in the lane because of that Astral Imprisonment. Yeah, so for the moment, looks like Fancy having a pretty good time mid. Already 3-1, ninjaboogie 0-1. Morphling could definitely get last hits here, and both heroes have pretty good base damage to start off with. What Morphling is going from is the ability to push the waves a lot more effectively. Ninjaboogie actually taking some harassment. But the real battle is going to be Jungle Wars here, and Lei, as well as Lao, already duking it out a bit. Looks like Lao wants to take over the Centaur. Night Stalker throwing out a Void on the Fanti, just looking to do a little bit of harassment. Lei comes in, but this ward spots him. Both teams actually having a ward here. And in this situation, it's a double melee lane up top. They're pulling against the Leshrac, so this Leshrac can definitely do some damage to the tower with that early Edict. Especially with Enchantress coming in, the pole camp gets warded off. Do we have any Sentry Wards from WE? No Sentry Wards there, no Sentry Wards here. So for the moment, there won't be any more pulling shenanigans. Down on the bottom lane, Bounty Hunter 4-0. OD 7-4, he has taken an early point. This is a very unusual build. You almost always see Astral Imprisonment getting maxed, or at least a couple of points into it, and then Essence R getting maxed. Because once you max Essence R, at that stage of the game, you can pretty much start spamming your orb non-stop. It also gives you fantastic lane control, Astral Imprisonment, taking away the Bounty Hunter's mana pool, also adding to your own, gives you more base damage, gives you more harassment in the lane. Ninjaboogie is very close to his bottle. Fancy already has his. And Fancy is going to have a bit of a better time because he was pulled that regen. Hasterin going to be picked up by the Night Stalker, but he's not going to get a kill of this Bounty Hunter. Has no detection at this stage of the game. Leaving the middle lane to go get a rune bottom. It's generally not something you want to do because you do fall a bit behind on levels. Unless you're going to gank with that rune or at least fill up a bottle. So, in this situation, Hasterin not going to offer Ninjaboogie too much. You can see Fancy is actually still getting the better of the harassment. Early on, gold is dead even, so it looks like both teams are getting some farm. Nice D-ward here by Lei, and this is an important ward to kill off. They now have the ward control up here, though camp is warded off. There's no enemy vision of this area, but it is a very difficult lane to gank. Panda, very tanky hero, 777 health already, 4 base armor that claps such a powerful nuke, and more importantly, the Earthshaker being in this lane. Look at the positioning on this Earthshaker, and really pay attention to where Icy is locating himself. So far back, he doesn't want to get caught out by a stun. If they're going to go on the Panda, that's fine, but the Earthshaker... Oh, first blood on the middle lane! Fancy gets it thanks to a nice early roam by JJ. That is a huge pickup. Oh, boy. Night Stalker dying this early when he's already sort of falling behind in the lane. That is something you simply cannot afford, and that's also going to give Bounty Hunter a little bit of extra gold. A great start here for WE. Yes, they did leave OD alone, but Bounty Hunter is happy with that. This is what you see a lot of the Chinese teams doing with the offlane Bounty Hunter. eHome has done it as well. I believe it's Lamb who plays their Bounty Hunter. Sometimes, even if he's up against the duel or tri-lane, he'll just wait to hit level 3, and then he'll start ganking. In this situation, he actually is getting some farm and doing some decent harassment. And look at him actually driving the OD back. This is where I think Astral Imprisonment would really come in handy for some extra lane control. He's maxing the orb first. This is very unorthodox. It's not too unusual to see a single point picked up, as a single point does give you a decent amount of damage. If you look at the way the spell scales, 6% and then it goes up to 9. So the scaling is not amazing. But to start leveling it up this much early on is a bit strange. It's also a percentage-based spell, so it doesn't scale too well in the early game. It's better off later on when you have a much larger mana pool, and a much larger mana pool to work with. So for the moment, we are going to see a little bit of jungle wars here. The Wild King gets taken over. Look how fast Lao is on his micro, immediately summoning the tornado. And there is going to be a split Earth onto Lao, but they just can't go on the offensive. Earthshaker always in position. Doesn't even have to drop the fissure. Just the threat of the fissure is enough. I have to say, WE look really sharp in the early stages of this game, but Ninjaboogie is on a hero that can turn the tides of that Night Stalker. Can easily look to pick off squishy supports like the Chen. Maybe the Earthshaker, but he really needs the silence for that. Even the Bounty Hunter is pretty easily ganked, but level 6 already secured here for JJ. And if you look at the farm, 16-1, 23-18 on Outworld. He's getting a lot of denies, but oh, Lei in a bunch of trouble here. How is he still level 1? Oh, he gets picked off. Lao already hitting level 3. I have no idea what the Enchantress has been doing. I guess she's been getting denied in her jungle farm a bit. That is a kill that should not happen. Enchantress is generally stronger at this stage of the game, but really great play by WE. And in comes the Bounty Hunter again, roaming mid. Ninjaboogie just can't catch a break, and with that track, I believe they will be to take him down. No boots on Ninjaboogie. Shuriken as well. Down he goes. Such fantastic movement from WE, who look like a completely different team compared to the one that dropped 2-0 to Duskbin in the early stages of this tournament. But with this orb being highly leveled up, OT is going to be able to drive the Bounty Hunter deep out of the lane. As long as Bounty doesn't have any sort of ganky backup, or at least mono to walk up and do some right clicks. OD is dominating this lane, and out of all the heroes of Duskbin, OD is the one that needed to have the best start. Leshrac, you want to get a good start on him. Oh, they want to go on Chen here. Burrow Strike is available. Split Earth to follow. Panda has the ult. Will he drop it? No ult. I think this is a good time to use it. Could probably secure himself a double kill. The tornado doing so much damage. In comes the fissure. This is not worth it just for Chen. Hachiko needs to Burrow Strike to the low ground. Is he going to? He is, just in time, and away he goes. Fantastic presence of mind there. Is able to escape, but still a Chen in exchange for a farming Leshrac is not really a great trade. I'm getting very worried about Lei, and he's finally hit level 3, so he has 2 points in that enchant, 1 point in the heal. Normally you'll see it the other way around because enchant doesn't really scale that well. The cooldown goes down a bit, but the heal gets a lot stronger. After a bunch of action, we have a pretty significant goal lead for the Dire, and as well as an experience of very significant experience lead. Fancy in some trouble, was not able to start morphing to strength. They might be able to bring him down. This would be a really big kill. Net coming in. They are going to get him, I think. Look at that morph, how much damage it's doing. Are they actually going to be able to kill this morph? I don't think so. Oh, and in comes Chen, punishing the aggression. They needed the lockdown to be there just a bit sooner. Enchantress Sankane showed up just a few seconds late. Clap in. Panda ult gets dropped all over the map. It seems that it's Duskbin who are just falling apart here. The calculated aggression of WE just too much. Great micro there on the Panda. And an ult this early just for a single hero is definitely a good use of the ult. It is a team fight ult, but they don't need team. They're not going to be team fighting now. And WE, every single one of their core heroes is getting the early farm. Bounty Hunter 2-0, 25 CS. Panda only 23 CS, but hitting level 8. All three of the core heroes are hitting level 8. Compare that to Duskbin. Level 6 on Leshrac, level 7 on the Outward Destroyer, and level 6 on Ninjaboogie. The movement from WE has just been superior in this game, and it's really costing Duskbin. Also, this Leshrac pick has not really accomplished anything. He hasn't done any damage to the tower at all. Not even a point of damage. I'm sorry, 20 points of damage. That may have just been the creep wave, though. I'm starting to feel like this is going to be all up to OD, and unfortunately he died early. He's not going for a quick force staff or any sort of utility items, just getting raw stats, which is not a bad choice. But ultimately you can stack all the stats you want on OD. He is still a very squishy hero, and you're going to need either a BKB or a utility item like a force staff to be able to stay alive in these engagements. So for Duskbin, where do you go from here? Level 4 Sand Chain spotted out by Sentry Ward. The gank is spotted and no Panda ults. So WE is probably going to play this one a bit more defensively. Bounty Hunter rotates mid, but he doesn't go invis, so he will be spotted. And Ninjaboogie is going to just head top. Unfortunately, look at the... I didn't even know you could ward here. What does this see? My hotkeys are not working. Can't use my vision hotkeys, but this...
Radiant structures are fortified.
Oh, my keyboard's not working. That's what it is. If there's a pause, I'll try and plug it back in. For now, I guess we're not going to use the vision hockeys, but yeah, look at these wards that WE's place so much vision. While this is all happening, they are finally going to look to get their first tower, but they just gave away a tier 1 to the Morphling in the middle lane. They may get the tier 1 top, but a tier 1 mid, especially when it's a Radiant tier 1 mid, who already have issues getting the Roshian pit. Definitely a great trade. GG going to run right by the OD here. They might look to set up a gank. He's going for the DD rune. He is going to get it. And in comes the Bounty Hunter, but immediately he just goes into Invis, and they're not going to be able to do anything.
You were expecting Sandy.
I say they're not going to be able to do anything, but here comes Morphling and Blah. He's going to have to back off. This gank was spotted by the ward here, so he should be just fine for the moment. A huge gold lead, and for the team that is Bounty Hunter, it's very dangerous to give away this much gold early on, because you know it's only going to snowball, and it's a BKB rush, so this is going to be a very aggressive Morphling, very early involved Morphling. If you look at the Radiant lineup, everything they can throw your way is pretty much magical damage or blocked by BKB. Night Stalker and OD have decent right click, even if you don't factor in the pure damage orb, but it's not a whole lot. Blinking, one click, Lay goes down, the heal just not enough. Squishy Enchantress is absolute food for all of the burst damage, and with that early Blink Dagger, the aggression is just going to ramp up for WE. They really need these Arcane Boots and Lao to help keep up the Panda's monopool. But this game is looking like it very much in favor of WE. With the quick Blink Dagger, they can easily push down some towers here without even being forced to drop the ultimate. Oh, Sharukin going to cancel Hachiko's TP. Burrow strike out, but I believe he is dead. Fissure on the wrong side. That may actually save him. Blinking, clap, he's not going to get away. And the splitter is too late. Killing spree on this Panda already. It all started with that first gank by the Bounty Hunter, rotating mid, slowing down ninjaboogie's farm. The laning decisions by WE. There were a number of ways they could have gone in terms of the lanes. They put the Morphling mid. That allowed them to have the Panda top, and his farm wasn't the best, but they had faith that if they gave the Morphling the strong early farm, the protected lane mid, that he'd be matched up against the Night Stalker, he wouldn't have too much trouble, and it's working out so far. It really is working out so far. They're going to look to start the push top. We're going to have Aquila turn on for that bonus 2 armor to the creeps. Will allow them to push a little bit more aggressively. Argentine being driven deep off the tower, and even with Arcane Boots, he is just so squishy. 2 nukes will bring him down. Track on the lane. Night Stalker comes in. Sentry Ward is dropped. This will be a big kill, but look how tanky Bounty Hunter is with those power treads, as well as the Bracer. In fact, they're not even going to have the damage. There's that defensive fissure, and it looks like, oh, Enchantress is going to go down again. Duskbin feels desperate the way they're playing diving towers, really overextending here. Ninjaboogie will survive, especially with that haste rune. They did force a couple of TPs, but they deny the tower mid, and overall, if you're WE, you're going to be very happy with that. Alright, let me see if I can fix my keyboard here while we have a second. Alright, we're back in business. I can actually use those Fog of War hotkeys. Yeah, so wow, this ward is really nice. You can see all the way up here, and it's in a very odd spot. You're not going to easily be able to deward it. On the bottom lane, though, OD drops the ultimate. Not going to affect that Panda at all because he is in ult form. They are going to pick up a kill on the Bounty Hunter, but with the track gold going the way of WE, they're perfectly content to trade kills 1 for 1, and they will come out ahead. It was an expensive kill. It did require a Panda ult. But OD right now, he's the only hero having a good start. In fact, he's having a very good time. 1850 gold for him. 72 CS. Not leading the way, though. Leading the way is that Morphling. I believe he's got his Ogre. Oh, he's getting so close to BKB. Yeah, the early laning for Duskbin just did not work out at all. They lost all 3 lanes. The Enchantress got picked off by a Chen, and basically a 1v1 situation, even though normally Enchantress should, if anything, have the edge in that early jungling.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Bottom tower in some trouble here. And Ninjaboogie pops the ultimate, forced to use it defensively. Late is he lagging? He's not moving, and he's gonna be cleaned up by the waveform. The chase continues. No Panda ult, but do they even need it is the question. Silence, but Fissure only hitting Blah, actually kind of blocking him away from the enemy team. That'll keep him safe. Arjun, how far will they die for him? That track is making it so easy for everyone on WE to keep up. Panda doesn't even need early phase boots. Just having that Blink Dagger is more than sufficient. Morphling's so close to that BKB. And once he has the BKB, Morphling, Panda with the Blink, Bounty Hunter just being pretty tanky, as well as Chen, Earthshaker to keep them all alive with the Fissure, the Chen heal, and of course the ability to send back to base. They can be so aggressive. And I know they've already been very aggressive, but it's gonna ramp up dramatically once that BKB is picked up. Looks like we're gonna see double drums coming out here from WE. Drums already picked up on the Gondar, or the Bounty Hunter rather, and a drums being worked on by the Panda. Both of these heroes are great candidates for drums. Has such a nice, cheap, easy build-up. Great item to have, even on multiple heroes, because you can just take turns using the drum charges. So it's not really a waste, unlike something like a Vlad's, which you mainly get for the aura, and of course the aura does not stack. But in the case of the drums, it just gives you fantastic stats. It's cheaper than an ultimate orb. It gives you almost as much in terms of stats, but it's significantly cheaper. You can actually buy about an additional bracer or wraithband with the difference in price. If it wasn't clear already, it is definitely clear now. The double pickup of the drums that's coming once Chan gets his. WE are going to continue to play aggressive. The BKB on the Morphling, the double drums on the two semi-carries. They're not going to try and get into a farm fest, which is a smart choice against a hero like OD. That OD, he has an ultimate orb. The issue for OD in this game is he needs damage and utility items as well as survivability. I think the Force Staff might have been the better choice here. If you ever get Blink clapped on, you can Force Staff away. Sure, they might be able to chase you down, but it gives you a fighting chance. It also gives you more damage, whereas going for a Hex, it's really only, I mean, in some cases you can use it defensively, but most of the time it's only a defensive item. Or it's only an offensive item for the Obsidian Destroyer. Because you can only Hex one here, and they have plenty of conditionate. Smoke Gank, Blink, Clap, Astral Imprison, immediately 1 TP. They're going to need a lot more than that, and it's not going to be enough. This is only a level 1 Astral Imprisonment, so it just doesn't last very long. Will Blanc get away? The Blink is available in just a few seconds. No! The Panda ult is forced. Instead, the Epicenter was used, driving everyone back. In comes the Panda ult. They're going to look to bring down Arjun here, and look at that burn damage. Sharukin, they get him, and they force the Epicenter. Lay, Fissure to follow. Will he be able to escape? No, the Boulder Toss coming in. Lay's in left trouble. Defensive Astral Imprisonment dodges the Echo Slam. Not going to be enough from the looks of it. The chase continues. Nice 2-hero Barrel Strike. The channel coming through, keeping everyone alive. Wait for mid. OD goes down. And Ninjaboogie in a lot of trouble. Look at these Centaurs. The Blink. The Fissure. A perfect Fissure from Icy. And that's going to be 4 heroes dead. They didn't even save that OD they were trying so hard to protect. And with all those kills, they're easily going to get this tower. They can either continue onto the high ground. Well, maybe they can't go high ground, but they could do some chip damage to the tower. They can also look to go for Roshan. They already have all the outer tier 1 towers down, so the map control for WE is just going to be so superb. And the mech wasn't even used in that fight. In fact, I think it just got delivered. That was just with the channel. There was no mech there. There's just no killing this WE lineup anymore. You have the Fissure, the Panda ult, the Morphling with his survivability, the BKB on that Morphling. And the Bounty Hunter has gotten very tanky very quickly. 1,100 gold already. And this is what you see all of the Chinese teams do. Whenever they get down that tier 2 tower, even the tier 1, they'll drop an offensive jungle ward. Especially if they're up against heroes that need farm, like the Sand King, like the OD. And heck, even the semi-carries here in the Leshrac and the Night Stalker, they need a lot of farm too. And this is the danger of running that Sand King and Leshrac. It wasn't a dual support. They ran the Leshrac as a farmer. But he was a farmer in the suicide lane, and it's a lot more difficult to get farm, especially because the pull camp was being pulled for a lot of the game. Chen was being aggressive up there. And so we find Leshrac, who's nowhere near that BKB, and he needs the BKB. OD as well really needs one. Ninjaboogie too. If they can get up these BKBs, we could see a bit of a turnaround, but I'm just not sure if it's going to be in time. The goal difference is so big. Who actually picked up the Aegis there? It is the Morphling. If Morphling wasn't already unkillable, he absolutely is now. BKB, Strength Morph, Waveform, Replicate, and did I say BKB? Yeah, I did. And the Aegis as well. Nice position here by Icy, who's no Blink Dagger yet. He's playing that hard support role. But he will be the one getting the farm from here on out. Chen's got his mech up. Expect to see this ES saving for that Blink Dagger. Maybe a Force Staff, but probably a Blink. Instantly, the creep wave gets mowed down. The Panda ult is up. They're going to go high ground here. WE's not even going to let Duskbin farm up those BKBs. And what can you really do if you're Duskbin? If you try to initiate, Panda's just going to ult. Morphling's going to pop his BKB. And oh, Bounty Hunter actually got a solo kill on the Enchantress down towards the bottom lane when he's trying to retreat out. Did not even... Actually, he did use a drum charge. Drum charge is popped here just to do some damage to the tower. And the tower in a lot of trouble. Look at the Chen creeps doing so much work along with the illusion. Mech gets popped. Blink in. Clap. Panda ult. And Origin all the way out the boulder toss. Look at the burst damage of WE. Down he goes. WE are in complete control of this game. Hachiko actually just delaying this push. This is probably a waste. BKB gets popped on the Morphling. He's being forced to run away. Still, the Sand Kid is dead. Did the Enchantress buy back, or did she just respawn? Either way, what does it matter? Sandcade forced to buy back.
Radiant structures are fortified.
And with those buybacks, maybe WE will look to retreat. They did use the Panda ult. Burrow strike in on the Bounty Hunter, as well as a Sentry Ward being dropped, but just not enough damage. There's nobody on WE you can really focus, except maybe the Earthshaker. But his positioning has just been so defensive, he never needs to be in the front lines. This is why you don't see many teams giving away Chen to a Chinese team. They're just too good at running it, especially if you throw in the Earthshaker and the Panda as well. But I think it's less the draft and more the laning for Duskbin here. The Enchantress was completely ineffective in the offensive jungle. The early movement from the Bounty Hunter was just so crucial. Won the bottom lane as well as the top lane for his team. Once we saw Morphling coming for some ganks. And you know, Panda, he didn't have a great start, but he caught up and he got the early levels, and that's all you need. Oh man, that was not the right pipe for that water. No, but looks like my body has settled down, so here we are, 22 minutes in. And look at WE, this is an 18-3 game. I haven't even really been looking at the scoreboard. I know it's been one-sided, but you know, 21 kills, there's been a lot of action. Even when there's not kills, just rotations are on the map. Aggressive warding, tower pushes. WE, every single hero on their team is doing well. Icy 1-1-6, Lao 4-1-3, and you can see the rest of these scores. I mean, these semi-carries are just crushing the game. The BKB is up on the Bounty Hunter as well. For Duskbin, it feels like a very slow but steady descent towards the loss here. It's still possible for them to turn it around, but it's going to require some fantastic mistakes, really, by WE. With the Panda having the Blink Dagger, as well as his ultimate, the BKBs on both of the semi-carries here. Just so many ways to stay alive, so many ways to initiate. Whereas for Duskbin, where does the initiation really come from? Nightstalker can initiate, but if he runs into this lineup, he's just going to get locked down, burst down. He doesn't have that BKB. And his silence is a nice tool, but in these larger team fights, it's just not a game-breaking silence. It's not an AoE spell. It's not a line stun like the Earthshaker. You can only affect one target, and a lot of those targets Manta style up on the Morphling. Look at Fancy go with this farm. In spite of going for that early aggression, he's managed to get a lot of gold, and it really goes back to the early towers. They're going to make another push mid. Panda ult should be back up. Indeed it is. And I don't see how they're going to stop this push. Just a nuke onto the Morphling illusion there. Enchantress actually taking over the Night Stalker. Replicate for her own team. But it's just not going to matter. Burrow strike in onto Fancy. Blink in for Panda. The ult gets dropped. The stun onto Blood. The Echo Slam. Does Earthshaker have his BKB? I'm not actually sure, but down goes the Night Stalker. Thrown up into the air is Leshrac. Leshrac on the way out. Boulder toss. He's in trouble. He gets surrounded. He gets brought down. And Blah just can't find a hero to target. He's constantly running away. Down goes Leshrac as well. Bunch of buybacks, I believe, coming after the Radiant. 2 heroes going down. Night Stalker finally making a go here. He might get Lao. No, he's not going to. Lao is too tanky. A double kill. Unstoppable. Triple kill for that Morphling. He went for the offensive Morphling. Man, is he showing off some impressive offense here. Defensive Astral Imprisonment only going to delay the inevitable. Down goes the Bounty Hunter as well. Wicked sick rampage for the Morphling. Fancy, you are too good, and Duskbin are being punished, being borderline humiliated by that very Morphling that they've had so many big wins with in the past. It is WE who know how to play the Morphling as well. It is WE who are dominated with that Morphling. And with that Rax down. the GGs will come out. Duskbin dropping a very one-sided affair if we take a look at the XP graph. At no point this game did Duskbin have a lead in terms of experience. At no point this game, aside from maybe this like 50 gold lead right here, did they have a gold lead this game. It's been all WE all the time. For anyone who questions the offlane bounty hunter, I think you've just been I was actually reading chat, but if anyone is questioning the offlane bounty hunter, this is why the Chinese run it. Even if he's up against the tri-lane, he can still have a similar impact. He won't be as farm for his team, but his other allies will get a little bit better farm, and 1 or 2 ganks, even at level 3 or 4, could completely turn the tides. I really feel like Duskbin, I understand why they picked the OD. It is a really strong late game carry, one of the heroes they've run in the past, but I think something like a Riki would have done a lot more for them. They needed a carry who had more of a teamfight contribution, and that silence from Riki is just so powerful. Riki can definitely lane 1v1 against the bounty hunter. Things might have gone differently, but it also gives you another great ganker to combo with the Night Stalker. In the end, though, Duskbin drop a pretty one-sided affair. WE take game 1, 25-6. That's your final score, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be going into game number 2 momentarily. Don't go anywhere.